Hello Palians and welcome back to my channel. If you watched my videos before, you will know that I love to decorate in this game and some of that does involve glitching. So I thought it was about time that I put everything I have learned into a little bit of a beginner's guide so that you can give it a try, because glitching should be for everyone. There is zero gatekeeping here. These are all going to be relatively easy and at a beginner level, but if you do want more advanced stuff, I'm going to link in the description more channels, more people that are doing some crazy things, so that when you're ready you can go and explore those as well. Some of these will be available on the Switch and I will specify that when doing the tutorials. Don't forget to like and also subscribe, but let's get into this. So the first method I want to talk about is alt select. This is literally the holy grail of methods if you love clutter and that cluttered appearance. This can be used in a number of ways, including placing items closer together, merging items, and even stacking some items. This method does work on the Switch by using the ZL button, but if this option doesn't appear for you when in furniture mode, you may need to enable it. To enable this, you will need to go into your controller settings, and under controls there'll be an option for multiple placement mode. You'll then need to assign the ZL key or any key you don't use, but I do recommend the ZL one. So the first thing you need for this method is a small furniture item to place on top of your furniture. You will be able to remove this item later, so it doesn't matter what it is, but my favourite piece to do this with is a gourmet soup bowl, but it will work with other items such as a pillar. If you don't yet have the gourmet recipes, you can purchase the starter recipes from Reth Till at the inn or in the underground. So once you have your soup bowl, the next thing you're going to want to do is pick two pieces of furniture that you want to merge together. It's important to note that the items you want to merge together must have a placeable area, i.e. a table, chair or bookshelf. The next step is to place down your gourmet soup bowl on top, and then when placed you are going to hover over the soup bowl and hit alt select. This will not only grab the soup bowl but the item underneath it. The game now thinks that you are just trying to place the soup bowl and not the item underneath it, which means that you can use this to your advantage to get items a lot closer together. You may need to play around with this and the placement of the soup bowl on your first item, but once you've got to grips with it, it does work nicely. One thing I discovered is that you can actually use this to stack some items. For example, when using these Emberborn nightstands, I was able to put them on top of each other to make a form of pillar. This technique also works for creating steps out of shelves. This is slightly different, as you will need to place your shelf on the side of a house, then use a pillar to place on top of the shelf. Once you've done this, you can alt select the pillar, and then this allows me to place the shelf on the ground. You can leave it like this, but you can then also stack shelves nicely by simply repeating the method. If you want to, after this, once it's on the ground and move it, you can. You just have to use your pillar again and then alt select, and then you can move it wherever you like. So really nice, easy way to make some stairs there. This is probably my go-to method for a lot of decorating the game, and it's pretty easy to get to grips with and not overly complicated once you have the hang of it. If you're wanting to place or merge items together but the furniture pieces do not have a placeable area, one method you can use is ghosting. This method sadly only works on PC, as you're required to use the hotkeys on your inventory. To do this method, you must first have a piece of furniture in your hotbar that you can use to cancel the placement, and then you need the two items that you are wanting to merge. Then place down your first piece of furniture in your desired location. Next, pick up this item but do not left click to place it down. You can then go ahead and use a hotbar key, which is a random piece of furniture, to cancel the placement of this original item. Now the game will show that your original item is in the new location, but because we have cancelled the placement, it is not. It is just ghosted in the original spot. This will now allow us to place the second item that we are wanting to merge in that original place. To cement the movement, you must then go to a different plot to refresh it, and when you return, you will see that your items have merged together. This can take a while to get right. Because of this, I do recommend using the grid on the floor to help you identify where you want your merged items to be placed. This method can be a little bit time consuming, but you can ghost multiple items at a time before reloading your plot if you need to, and it's great if you just can't get that right placement you want. Another trick I use is to rotate items. Sometimes you may look at an item and think, I just want that to be at a different angle. There are a few ways to do this using building blocks, and this is probably the easiest method, and it does also work on the Switch. To start, you will need to set up, and for this you will need a builder's wall and a shelf. My favorite is the industrial shelf, as it just feels a little bit larger than the others. Now, because the building blocks all use the same mechanics, you can pretty much use all of these to get the same effect. For this one, I will start off by showing you with 2 blocks. So first of all, place down your first block, and this will act as your anchor. Then you will rotate the shelf for the desired effect. If you rotate it 90 degrees, your item will be horizontal, and so forth, so you kind of get the picture. I recommend playing around with this, trying to get the right angle that you want. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and place your second building block, and finally add on the piece of furniture that you want to rotate. Once you've done this, you can remove the first block or anchor block from the shelf and then place it wherever you like. As you can see here, this effect will work with pillars and even a mixture of pillars and blocks. The different blocks you will see can affect the height of your finished products, so that's worth bearing in mind as well. If you want to, you can also use 2 pavers to do this method. All you have to do again is place down your paver, then rotate the shelf, and then try and place the paver on the edge of the anchor paver. Sometimes this can be a little bit finicky, but I do find that it's best if you stand to the side, and sometimes coming out of the grid building mode will help you get that placement. This way will give you the rotation that is a lot closer to the ground, and then you can just hide the pavers with the flowers. If you want to, you can also move the pavers around, place them on things such as building blocks, and really play around with the height. Rotating things is a lot of fun, and you can come up with some definitely very interesting combinations of things. The idea of rotating can also be used to place floor items on walls. To do this, you will again need to use your builders and wall shelf combo. The first thing you need to do is place down your wall, then rotate your shelf 90 degrees. Next, you want to go ahead and take your builder's floor and place this on top of the rotated wall. Try and get this as neat as possible so it's nice and evenly placed. Then you can go ahead and place your floor item that you want to be on the wall. Then when you move and place it, the wall will rotate upright, and ta-da, you have a floor item on the wall. If you want to attach this to a wall inside your house, you can do that, or if you want to, you can attach it to more building walls. That would also look good. One of the glitches I truly cannot live without is sinking. This is one of my favourite ways to make paths and ponds. I've shown this plenty of times on videos and streams, but if you have missed it, here it is again. This method doesn't work on the Switch, but I do believe there is a Switch friendly way to sink tables, and I'll try and find a video for you Switch players and link it below. So for this, we are starting off with our trusty builder's wall and shelf combo yet again. Then you are going to want to place your paver on top of the shelf. Then you will select your paver and bring it towards the floor, but do not click because we are going to ghost this paver. So to do that, I will press the number on my hotbar that has a furniture item in, and then I'm going to click cancel that placement. So your paver should now appear as if it's on the floor, but it isn't, you've ghosted it. You will then want to take your chosen item. This must be an item that can be placed on a paver, or something that you can use the alt select glitch to place on top of the paver. For example, the tables work perfectly. So using the pillar, I will alt select and then simply place it on top of the paver. You can then go ahead and grab the paver, and this will move your table with it. Then once you left click, the table will fall into the ground. If you decide you don't like the position, simply use the alt select glitch again to move it to your desired location. Now when I use this glitch, one of the most common comments I get is that my table is too far underground. If that is happening to you, then you need to listen to this point very clearly, because what determines the height of the table and how far it sinks down is the height of your shelf on the builder's wall. The drop between the shelf and the ground is how far that item is going to fall. So if your table or the item you're sinking is too far into the ground, then you need to reduce that height on the shelf. If the item is too high off the ground, you will need to make the shelf higher, if that makes sense. So I will say what's very important here is that the smallest of movements on that shelf can actually have a big impact. So bear that in mind when trying this. On the flip side of sinking is floating. This is exactly the same method, but we're going to do it in reverse. So to make things float, you first place your paver or your anchor item onto the ground, and then you move the paver up, place it on the shelf, and then ghost it. Again, do not left click on this. Use that number on your keyboard which has a furniture item in. Then once that paver is ghosted on top of that shelf, you can then add your item on top of the paver or on your anchor item. And after this, you can remove the paver from the shelf, and then once you left click, whatever you wanted to float should now be in the air. Again, as with what I previously said, the height of your shelf is going to determine how high that item will float from the ground. So remember that, it's very important. This is honestly so great for making floating books, lanterns, candles, anything you want to make float. So the next glitch I want to show you is how to flip things. For this, our builder's wall combo and the shelf combo is going to be slightly different. We're going to use two shelves. So we've got the green shelf and the blue shelf, and I'm going to use them to do the demonstration just to make it a bit clearer as to which shelf I'm moving. For this one, what's going to be the important thing is actually the height between the shelves. So the item that we are going to be flipping, we want to make sure that it's about that height. Otherwise, that item is going to end up in the sky, and we don't want that. So be sure to measure it, and this looks about right for what we're going to be doing. I'm going to turn this makeshift barrel drum thing upside down so that the bottom kind of is the base of it, as you can see, or you will see in a moment. So first things first is we're going to turn this shelf around, and then we're going to use our trusty paver or whatever anchor you want here. So you could do this with a building block or a building floor if you wanted to, but I'm going to place the paver down on the green shelf, and then I'm going to rotate the green shelf 180 degrees. Try your best, it might be hard, but try your best to keep that height that you had already measured out from before, so you know whereabouts it should be. Okay, so we're just going to rotate that, and then we're going to go ahead and grab the paver, and we're going to ghost the paver onto the blue shelf. So we're not going to left click, we are going to press an item in our hotbar. I'm pressing number 1, and then I'm going to cancel that placement, and then we're going to turn our attention to the barrel. And because this one won't automatically paste on the paver, we're going to use the cup method or the alt select method so that we can place it on top. So place that cup down, alt select, and then as you can see, we can place it on top of that paver now, and then ta-da. And then all I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove the soup bowl. Because we're flipping it upside down, it's going to be a lot harder to get it out. So I'm going to pick that up, and then I'm going to grab the paver underneath. And then if I left click now, you're going to watch the magic happen. Ta-da! So now, as you can see, the paver has been placed inside of it, but the makeshift drum has rotated upside down, which is pretty cool. You can see that the very bottom of the paver is kind of in the ground a little bit. So what that means is that my two shelves were just a little bit too close together, but I think that's pretty good. You can place flowers in here. I would recommend using the ghosting method if you're going to do that, and then just merge the barrel and the flowers together. I have done that on another plot as well. So the final method I want to talk about is the flicking method, and this will allow you to essentially place anything anywhere. It worked for me. I was able to put trees inside, I was able to put the Emberborn fencing inside, and this one I learned from Lillian Games. So if you want to learn more about this, there are even more sophisticated things you can do with this. Be sure to check out her channel. As I said with some of the glitches, I will definitely link lots of other creators in the description so you can check out what they're doing. So before you try and attempt this glitch, the first thing you're going to have to do is go into your settings. This will only work for PC, unfortunately. So head into your settings. Once you're in your settings, you're going to want to go to the advanced section, and then you're going to want to change your frame rate limit to 165. You can do it on lower if you want to, if you just find that that works a bit easier for you. Sometimes the lower you go, actually the easier it is to do this glitch, I found. So 30, let's try it with that. And you are also going to want to go to your key bindings and scroll all the way down until you find this. This is the confirm move, and you're going to want to set another key binding here. I set V as this is how I learned it, and I kind of think it works for me. And then you can come out of here and go into resume. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and place, first of all, some wallpaper on the floor, which is quite a cool thing. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to place this item down. This will work with any item, but you must first place it down, and then you're going to want to bring it all the way towards you, and then just drag it so it says something is in the way. Now, before we get to that step, what to do next is you need to remember what number your wallpaper is in the hotbar. So my wallpaper is on number 4. So once we have dragged this item really close towards us, what we are going to do next is we are going to left click and then really quickly press the number 4. And then hopefully that wallpaper will end up on the floor. So left click and then really quickly press number 4, like that. Ta-da! So now we have this lovely ivy floor, which looks amazing. And obviously this works in reverse as well. If you want to do it on the wall, you will just have to use an art piece, and then you have the flooring in your inventory as well. Mist found that out, so thank you, Mist, for sharing that with us. Or you could just use normal wallpaper. That's entirely up to you. But some of the designs do alter, so it makes for some interesting kind of combinations. So next up, I'm going to show you how to put fencing inside. For this, I found it a little bit easier if you put your chili oil dumplings or your item that you're going to use to do this glitch off to the side. I just made it a little bit easier for placing the fence. So the first thing I'm going to do is move those chili oil dumplings towards me so we get that redness. And then because my fencing is in number 2 this time, I'm going to left click really quickly and then hit my number 2 on my keypad. So here we go. Right, as you can see, the fencing has now picked up here. So you can go as long as you like and then hit V to place it. So as you can see, it is placed really nicely. The left click won't work when you're trying to place it, so be sure to use the V. I think sometimes in the past it has worked for me, but V is kind of your backup option, so it does cement it in place if you need to do it that way. However, the one downside with this is that once you've placed it, you can't move it freely within the house, so you really have to make sure that you get that right placement with the fence. So as I said earlier, this really does work for anything. If you wanted to, you could put wall items on the floor. So here is the capital chic thing. So let's drag that bowl towards us again, left click, and then 7. And then ta-da, as you can see, the capital chic wall item is now in the floor, which looks pretty cool, I think, and will work nicely for a fence. Likewise, this will also work if you wanted to put items inside that actually don't belong inside. So maybe you wanted to put the makeshift pergola inside. Well, all we have to do now is just drag the chili oil towards us. Again, get that sweet spot where it's nice and red, and then left. And now we are actually inside the makeshift pergola, and it's also inside the house, which is pretty cool. So there we go. I hope that one helps. It's really useful if you want something in a place and you just can't get it there. So this one really is great for that. So there we have it. There are lots of glitches to get you started. If you have any questions in the comments, please let me know. I'll do my best to try and help you out. Again, a lot of this video would not be possible without the community, from people within my community who has helped me learn and understand glitches, to the people that are out there doing these, making really fancy things. As I say, I will link everyone in the comments below that you need to go and check out and what they're doing within the community, so you can go watch and learn more if this is just your starter glitching journey. Have a great rest of your day, and I shall see you again soon. Bye bye.